then at the end of the day, you understand that.
The president at the summit was entrusted with the responsibility of championing the anti-corruption fight with the theme, "Winning the fight against corruption, a sustainable path to Africa's development." While presenting Nigeria's position in favor of the report on the establishment of a continental free trade area and related issues, President Buhari canvassed for a speedy single and unified market in Africa to increase trade, create jobs, and reduce poverty in a rapidly changing global economy with much uncertainty. President Buhari believes that the establishment of a continental free trade area would provide Africa with tremendous opportunity to achieve significant growth driven by intra-African trade. President Salva Kiir of South Sudan has made a strong appeal to President Muhammadu Buhari to help in finding a lasting solution to the precarious political and security situation in his country. This was when he visited the Nigerian leader on the sidelines of the just concluded summit of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
President Salva Kiir, who sent special envoys to Nigeria on several occasions, used the opportunity of the African Union summit to acquaint President Muhammadu Buhari on what he called delicate situation in South Sudan. This is in spite of the agreement on the cessation of hostilities signed December 21 and put into force days later. The United Nations recently expressed grave concern over the dire security and humanitarian situation in the country. Most worrisome to President Salva Kiir is that foreign parties outside Africa are threatening to get involved and act unilaterally.
He wants Mr. President to remain a real factor in trying to broker peace in that country.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who is equally worried over the situation, called on the South Sudanese leader to try and be as inclusive as possible, involve the other parties, and look at the bigger picture on the benefits peace will bring to the country. He also urged him to work towards enhancing mutual relations with the neighboring countries.
He pointed out that South Sudan was a country that was blessed with rich natural resources and also good human resources, and there really was no need for them to be fighting each other.
In the meantime, the 30th summit of the African Union has been rounded off, with the Nigerian delegation taking pride in the significant impact made by President Muhammadu Buhari in major decisions taken that are critical to the future of the continent.
We're extremely proud. Mr. President did the country proud, and I think has again positioned Nigeria really as the driving force of the African continent.
President Buhari's intervention led to the adoption of the report on the planned establishment of the Continental Free Trade Area, just as he champions the renewed fight against corruption across Africa for the year 2018 and beyond. From Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
ECOWAS leaders meeting on the sidelines of the 30th African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, have failed to agree in reducing the number of commissioners of the body from 15 to 19 as part of the reform agenda earlier adopted. Correspondent Makut Simon Macham reports.
For some time now, the reform of the ECOWAS Commission has been on the front burner, with Nigeria calling for a more slimmer and effective bureaucracy. One of the thorny issues in the reform process has been the scaling down of commissioners from 15 to 9, a position Nigeria favors because of its huge financial contributions of up to 75% of total funds for the organization. Some other countries are opposed to this. They prefer to retain 15 commissioners. This meeting, attended by Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema and chaired by ECOWAS Chairman President Faure Gnassingbé Eyadema, ended in a deadlock like previous ones.
Countries have come back and said no, that they want to go back to 15 commissioners after a decision had been taken to reduce it to 9. So that's what was being discussed. And, Nigeria was one of the main countries that proposed that it should be reduced because we identified a lot of inefficiencies in the organization and felt that restructuring was extremely important. And part of that restructuring was a reduction of the number of commissioners.
While Nigeria, which pays about 75% of ECOWAS bills, insists on reforming the organization and cutting costs, ironically, it is countries that pay less to running the organization that insist on having 15 commissioners rather than 9. However, they are not also disposed to Nigeria's proposal that if 15 commissioners were to be retained, then each country will pay for its commissioner. How this will end is left to be seen. From Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, I am Makut Simon Macham, NTA News.
Joining me now is Mr. Niyi Akinsiju, a social commentator, to speak on Nigeria's outing at the just concluded session of the African Union. Welcome, Mr. Akinsiju.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Now the president is back and he has a huge responsibility on his shoulders to champion the fight against corruption. How does the president go about this?
The responsibility is not just huge, it's historical. It also affirms the fact that Nigeria had come a long way from being a pariah state to the leading light of Africa. A major challenge, and historically, corruption has been a major challenge for Nigeria and Africa, and has been the worries of developed worlds and commentators across the world. Now that we have a president that has confirmed and has affirmed his brand as an anti-corruption warrior, it does translate to the fact that Nigeria has now started wearing a new outlook. No longer would a Nigerian anywhere in the world be the butt of jokes or the butt of derisive dismissal. Now we can carry our head high anywhere in the world because it has been translated, it has been announced to the world that the president of Nigeria is the leading warrior against this malaise, that had contributed so much to the backwardness of Africa, as a continent, and even as of Nigeria. So for me, I think I should take pride, just like every Nigerian should take pride in this acknowledgement, and secondly, it does also mean that every Nigerian must also buy into this responsibility. It is not President Buhari's responsibility alone. It is a collective responsibility of all Nigerians, because now it is now affirmed that our country is properly on the line, on the direction of engaging critically the battle against corruption. So it's not just going to be President Buhari's battle. It's going to be Nigerians' battle. And that is the responsibility on us to also comport and conduct ourselves appropriately anywhere we find ourselves, domestically and in other countries, because he is the first model. And don't forget that the new chairman of the African Union declared, in the open assembly, that other African leaders should emulate President Buhari. It's an admonition that we must also take to heart by also emulating this same brand. It's a brand now, and we should cast it in that light.
So doubtless, this must be a very proud moment for Nigeria.
Very proud.
But overall, what assessment do you put on the performance of Nigeria at this just concluded AU summit?
It's huge. Coming with this recognition, and of course, we just heard on the news Sudan appeal, for Nigeria's intervention. Nigeria is playing the role of a giant of Africa. We are no longer sleeping. We have now become the reference point in Africa. So wherever we are, and I see when I tell people that the standard, the perception of your country, it starts with the leadership of that country. So now we have a leader that is doing what is right. Africa is engaging us, is acknowledging us. As Africa is doing that, the world is also doing that for us.
Thank you very much. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the Buhari administration is determined to resolve the herdsmen and farmers' clashes and return peace and order to affected communities. This was when the Vice President received a delegation of Bata and Bachama communities of Adamawa State in Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This is not the first time Vice President Yemi Osinbajo would be meeting those affected by the clashes in Adamawa State, as part of the process of putting an end to the misunderstanding between the communities and the herdsmen. Similar meeting had been held twice late last year, and on each occasion, the Vice President reiterated the administration's resolve to end the crisis, which he noted have done so much damage to infrastructure, which the government is looking forward to fixing and rehabilitate to the people. Further admonished the people of the affected communities to embrace peace and not to seek revenge. He emphasized that it was important to disarm anyone caught with arms and weapons, as it was, by law, an offense for anyone to carry unlicensed firearms. The Hama Bachama and Ama Bata thanked the federal government for responding promptly by providing security personnel to the areas and relief materials to the affected people, and most especially on efforts so far made to resolve the field. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
The National Council of Traditional Rulers in Nigeria has condemned the killings in some parts of the country. At the opening session of the 9th General Assembly of Traditional Rulers in Rivers State, government at all levels were urged to rise up to their respective responsibilities of protecting lives and property. They called on traditional rulers in their domain to continue to preach peace and unity.
We must rise above ethnicity, rise above religion and sentiments.
We call on government at all levels, especially the federal government of Nigeria, institute a very high-powered inquiry into all these killings across the country. And whoever has a hand in killing one innocent person, whoever that person is, even if it's me, bring the person to book.
And the onus is on we, the traditional rulers. It's about time for all of us to know our roles and responsibilities in this country.
While the federal government is doing everything possible to tackle the root causes of crime and violence in Nigeria, we expect citizens to respect and obey the laws governing our society.
Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris and Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike said the traditional institution must wake up to its responsibility of promoting peace and tolerance across the country. The 9th General Assembly has had in attendance traditional rulers from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. This is NTA News. We take our first break now. More news when we return.
I'm going to Sun office for the certification of my wheat flour. Oh no, things have changed. Sun has simplified all its activities. You could have even stayed back in Kano and process all your papers online. Whoa.
With the efforts of Sun, the products of SMEs can now compete globally. Sun has put in place necessary machineries in support of the growth of SMEs. At highly subsidized charges, SMEs can now get their certification, laboratory testing of their products, as well as purchase of standards. Meanwhile, Sun is carrying out massive seizure of substandard goods in the market and have gotten legal backing to prosecute offenders, all to protect consumers and SMEs. Sun, improving life through standards.
Hey, what's up? What you doing?
I'll call you back.
Hey, babe, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing?
Hello, baby. You need to know the wedding list now. I'm hungry now. See, even see your Akoko. Even Akoko
is here.
Get 10 times your recharge value to call and browse anyhow. Recharge with *220 star the pin hash to enjoy this offer. Available to new and existing subscribers.
Babe, what you doing?
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The public presentation of the report of the All Progressive Congress APC Committee on True Federalism shall take place as follows. Date, Wednesday, 31st January 2018. Venue, Ladikwali Hall, Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. The panelists will include Chief John Odige Oyegun, APC National Chairman, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, Governor of Kaduna State and Chairman, APC Committee on True Federalism, Mr. Wale Oshun, Public Affairs Analyst and APC Leader, Ajia Aishatu Ismail, former Minister of Women Affairs, Mr. Patrick Okibo, Principal Partner, Next Year and Public Affairs Analyst, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, APC National Publicity Secretary, Announcer.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant to achieve our creed as we promise. We shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Our Anchor Borers program has created an agricultural revolution. In September 2015, we imported 644,000 tons of rice, costing more than $5 million per day. By September 2017, rice imports dropped by 95% to 22,000 tons. Our maize crop has exceeded 10 million tons this year. And through our rice and maize program, we now have 12.2 million farmers. We are now the world's second largest producer of sorghum after the United States, third in millet after India, and we lead the world's production of yam and cassava. We've created numerous plantations solely for the export market, and our plan is to increase the agricultural sector from 25 to 49% of our GDP, thereby reducing poverty and increasing food security.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has described the media as an active partner in the implementation of the developmental process of nation building. The minister stated this in a message to the opening of a two-day training organized by his ministry for journalists and relevant stakeholders on conflict-sensitive reporting and safety of journalists in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
The minister, who was represented by the Director of Public Communications in the ministry, Oluseyi Abegunde, said the media, given its critical role in promoting good governance and entrenching democratic ideals, practitioners must live above board in the discharge of their duties.
Practitioners have the obligation to continue to foster peace, tolerance, and harmony in the society through their various platforms as part of their contribution to promoting peace.
The federal government, he maintained, remains committed and responsive to safety of journalists in the country, hence its partnership with international agencies pertaining to acts of violence against journalists. Femi Adesina, in his goodwill message, said promoting the safety and security of journalists in today's world is germane.
Therefore, journalists must be mindful of this and refuse to be used in conflict reporting. They should stand by fairness, by balance, by accuracy, and by responsible conduct.
At moments like this, we need all hands to be on deck to promote unity, preach peace and tolerance, and be vigilant and be extremely security conscious.
The corporate existence of this country is your responsibility.
We commend this initiative to hold a training workshop by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and UNESCO.
Topics that will be looked into include conflict sensitivity, words and images, hate speech, gender and safety, as well as journalists as victims of their profession. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Following the release by INEC of the 2019 election timetable, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, has organized a retreat for political parties in Nigeria. Key players dwelling on the dynamics of managing political parties advocated the need to regulate the conduct of the press in the political reportage.
Enters the second day had representatives of political parties caught across the country. In his lecture titled Imperative of Media Policy and the Usage by Political Parties, former Director General of NTA, Dr. Tony Redua, called on political parties to see the media as partners and appreciate their work and assist them to meet the goals of the political parties.
A political party ought to have an articulated work plan on how it wants to use the media, what they want people to know of themselves, when they want to speak, who will speak, how he will speak, what kind of channels they want to use, when are they going to use those channels. That is a policy.
Other speakers have this to say on the relationship between political parties, elections, and election management.
The primary role of political parties is to conduct elections. And so the point is to identify the major issues in this relationship.
In the spirit of continuous improvement, some resolutions will be issued out, and hopefully some of these resolutions will be implemented by the partners as well as actors that have attended this conference.
It is expected that participants will use what they have learned in the retreat to beef up their capacity to manage and be active players in the democratic process. In Abuja, Umenka Marachuku, NTA News.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, says the political agenda of the present administration is one that is capable of leading Nigeria to a pride of place. This was his message through the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters, Gideon Samani, to a media briefing convened by a support group under the auspices of Nigerian Continuity and Progressives for Buhari Oshibajo 2019. Timothy Yusuf reports.
About 2.5 years now into the tenure of the present administration, members of this group pointed out that a lot has been achieved in the three core areas of fighting corruption, insecurity and reviving the economy. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation is confident that more progress can be achieved with the cooperation of Nigerians in the years ahead.
President Muhammadu Buhari, people should believe in him. And believe in people Nigeria. Should believe in his leadership style. With Professor Yemi Osibanjo, they are a good team.
Members of the Continuity Project say the 28th of February this year will witness a convergence of Nigerians from far and wide at the Eagle Square, Abuja, for endorsement of President Muhammadu Buhari to recontest the 2019 election.
It's only Buhari coming that he makes Nigerians to realize that there is somebody that can rescue Nigeria from the insecurity, corruption, and making our economy to be better than what we have.
They implored President Muhammadu Buhari and his team to remain firm and resolute in their development strides to better the nation and for a greater future of Nigeria. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Various interest groups and individuals have continued to show support to secure the consent of President Muhammadu Buhari to contest in next year's general elections. The latest is from a coalition of over 200 non-governmental organizations who are inspired by President Buhari's incredible performance in all sectors, which has led the country back to the path of growth and development. Salihu Abdullahi reports.
In this hall are Nigerians of like minds who are already branded with a singular purpose to join the crusade calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to recontest in 2019 elections to enable him carry on with the good work he is doing for the country. The forum agreed that since inception in 2015, the current administration of Muhammadu Buhari has shown commitment in building a secured and corrupt-free Nigeria with a strong economic base.
We can boldly tell you that as of today, the foreign reserve of the country is $40 billion, the highest in 4 years. The nation is also being saved 24 billion naira monthly with full implementation of Treasury Single Account TSA. The administration has given bailout to states, even though many state governors have still not paid their workers.
The group, whose membership cut across students, women, artisans and youth groups, is equally ready to organize a nationwide rally in support of the Buhari administration and in the pursuit of their mission of urging President Muhammadu Buhari to recontest in the 2019 general elections. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
A group, Buhari Victory Mobilizers, want Nigerians in the political class to take advantage of the nation's current political stability to propagate true democratic principles in the interest of the nation. This came up at a media briefing by the Buhari Victory Mobilizers. Salihu Abdullahi reports.
There has been an upsurge of groups and individuals across the country on the cause for Mr. President to seek re-elections in the next general elections. The Buhari Victory Mobilizers is one of such support groups that has been mobilizing people's opinion and support for Mr. President's re-election against the backdrop of the good work the President has done and to ensure continuity in the plans of his government for the better.
It is therefore in appreciation of the matchless commitment and robust contributions of the PNB administration to national rebirth and transformation, particularly in the triple areas of security, anti-corruption and the economy.
In its efforts to support processes of sustaining the current Buhari's administration drive for all-inclusive governance, a compendium titled Footprints of Change, the Buhari Osibanjo success story compiled by the group, will be made public.
We are going to print 5 million copies, spread it all over the federation. People will read to know actually what Mr. President have been able to achieve within these 2 years in office.
The Buhari Victory Mobilizers says democracy thrives in nations where the citizens play active role as leaders and followers. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
In sustaining democracy, Nigerians have been encouraged to understand and respect the doctrine of separation of powers as it affects leadership, governance, and national security. At a lecture to course participants of the National Defense College, Abuja, Senate President Bukola Saraki emphasized that the perceived face-off between the executive and the legislature is only a process to ensure accountability as enshrined in the Constitution. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma reports.
I'm not certain that we are sufficiently mindful of the simple fact that National Assembly is not some rubber stamp of executive action. Legislature is a co-equal of the executive and the judiciary.
Senate President Bukola Saraki driving home a point over what he described as the misconstrued role of the legislative arm of government. As he puts it, separation of powers is important to democracy, just as democracy is important to the stability of Nigeria. Though the travails of the Nigerian legislature have unfolded some challenges confronting the nation, the Senate President is optimistic of an improved relationship between the various arms of government with the setting up of a committee headed by the Vice President on the way forward.
We are very lucky today that we have in all terms a transparent and a committed president to fighting corruption. But tomorrow, we don't know tomorrow. That is why it is not about individuals. What we must do in strengthening our democracy is build the institutions.
Earlier, Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, in another lecture at the college, had challenged politicians to endeavour to formulate and adopt policies that are people-oriented. He also said they must be courageous in confronting matters of national interest with a view to quelling tensions. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
We're joining Lagos now for the latest from that axis. Ademola is our guide.
Thank you, Donald. It's good to see you again on NTA. And welcome to Lagos. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has pledged support for the Consumer Protection Council, CPC, assuring that residents will have access to quality goods and services. Governor Ambode stated this at the Lagos House, Alausa, Ikeja, when he received the Director General of the CPC and his delegation who are in Lagos for the flag-off of National Infrastructure Project. Nosao Sula reports.
The governor charged the Consumer Protection Council to look beyond the rights of people to have quality products and services and beam its searchlight on other key sectors which have direct impact on the standard of living of Nigerians.
We're talking about the rights of people to have quality services, the rights of people to have quality products, and then also increase the standard of living that we're having. But there are even other sectors that you need to also pay attention to. The kind of services that we provide in terms of transportation sector.
The Director General, Consumer Protection Council, Babatunde Irukera, noted that the project aimed at sensitizing consumers in the country is in collaboration with the federal government, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and other stakeholders.
To improve the quality of products, you need both the demand and the supply side. You've got to get the consumers demanding that quality, and that in parts also addresses the supply side where producers truly provide qualitative goods. And the Lagos market actually is the most sophisticated market and certainly very discriminatory.
The chairman, Board of the Lagos State Consumers Protection Agency, Fumilola Falana, who implored residents to forward their complaints, said the agency would support any move to ensure that residents get value for their money. In Lagos, Nusa Usula, NTA News.
Between 50 and 60% of deaths recorded annually in Nigeria are caused by non-communicable diseases, a trend which has placed heavy burden on the health sector, especially health givers. This is why experts want government to review its national health insurance policy to reduce the cost of treatment. Doindia reports.
With the increasing deaths resulting from heart-related complications, cardiovascular diseases are said to be the leading cause of deaths in Nigeria. On one hand, foods and other consumables are a major contributing factor. Others are the very expensive cost of managing such disease. These and other reasons inform the choice of the conference organized by cardiologists from across Nigeria. Speakers agreed that Nigeria's health sector will function more effectively if the federal government can make health insurance policy mandatory at all levels, as well as deploy what they termed as the idle funds of the NHIS to other sector of the economy.
I mean, you heard of somebody, the man was just talking and he just slumped. Most of the time, it's most likely related to the cardiac disease.
I'll say most of the challenges boil down to cost. Nigeria government should guarantee our health. How are they going to do it? People must pay for it. Then again, when you talk about people paying for health, there are some who can pay, there are some who cannot pay.
With up to 32 billion naira projected by the National Health Insurance Scheme in 2017, only about 4 million Nigerians out of the 180 million population are covered by the scheme. In Lagos, Doindia, NT News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We now take another break for some messages. The news continues shortly. Stay with us.
Abuja, one of the fastest growing private universities in Nigeria, commences postgraduate studies in the following fields: MBA, MSc Business Administration, MSc International Relations and Diplomacy, MSc Mass Communication, MSc Economics, MSc Sociology, MSc Chemistry, MSc Animal and Environmental Sciences, and MSc Parasitology. For inquiries, call 081 3376-9658. That is 081-3376-9658. Or email enquiries@baseuniversity.edu.ng. You can also visit www.baseuniversity.edu.ng.
Admission is in progress.
Come to Base University Abuja. Get the best. Learn to live. Announcer, Registrar.
Helen! Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10. Thank you. This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now? Sure. This gets just 1. It is clean. But not perfect 10. Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible. Challenge? Try the new Apic 10X. Compared to bleach and detergent, Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet. Wow. Now you also take the Apic 10X challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack.
Cold and flu can spread through the contact of hands. And in such situations, I can't risk falling ill. So I recommend Dettol, as it protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why I want to be Dettol sure. Dettol, be 100%.
Want to buy Indomie noodles? So fast, please.
Yo.
That's my Indomie. Please, sir, if it's not Indomie, don't call it Indomie. Sir, the taste is the difference. The difference is in the taste. That's why my brothers, my mommy, very delicious Indomie. The difference is the taste. Uncle, now see people boss be this, so.
Emanuela, go enjoy. Everybody, take comics for Akoko. Comics is easy to use, just tear, drink.
Comics, now easy to use solution for itchy cough.
No cough.
No comics.
Carry waka. Comics, easy to use. Carry waka.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So they just my advice.
Even now, sir, if they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy, may they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. Now I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Welcome back. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment to support branding of made in Nigeria goods to make them globally competitive. Let's join Musa Abubakar for details and more on Business News.
Hello, a warm welcome to Business News. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment says it will partner with Franchise Business Development Services to promote the franchise and branding of made in Nigerian goods. State Minister Aisha Abubakar said this while receiving members of the group in Abuja. The minister, who observed that the initiative proposed by the group aim at scaling a new brand and giving opportunities to over 30 million entrepreneurs in the country, will strengthen the Nigerian economy.
I want to agree with you that franchising, especially for business startups. One concern that I have is also that franchises are usually expensive, and so the funding around it has to be really affordable for it to gain the kind of momentum that you want it to gain.
The pilot scheme will commence with 10 business operators. The African Risk Capacity, ARC, an agency of the African Union, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, ECA, Tuesday, announced a new partnership which will see the two organizations work together to increase insurance coverage against climate risk for African states. The multilateral deal was announced at the African Union's annual summit in Addis Ababa and commits ARC and ECA to build the capacity of their 33 common member states by embedding risk management investments into government planning through policy development. ARC and ECA also will share expertise and commit financial resources to join analytical work in areas of economic and climate risk research in order to promote risk transfer instruments. Trading on the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange has closed on a positive note as the all-share index gained 42% at 44,493.79 basis points, while market capitalization stands at 15.949 trillion naira after 876 million shares were traded in 8,780 deals. Guinness led the gainers chart and Nestle the losers chart, while Transcope had the most shares traded. That's it on Business News. I'm Musa Abubakar.
Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has presented a budget proposal of 1.299 billion naira for 2018 to the House Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values for consideration and approval. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports that some agencies under the Ministry of Information and Culture also defended their 2018 appropriations before the committee.
The sum of 690 million naira was released out of 990.84 million naira capital budget of the Information Department of the Ministry for 2017. Alhaji Lai Mohammed explained that 635.35 million naira has been expended for projects targeted at promoting the policies and programs of government. These included town hall meetings, public enlightenment campaigns, media consultations, reorientation of rural dwellers and other Nigerians in diaspora.
The various platforms have provided us the opportunity to propagate government policies and programs and achievements.
The members made salient observations, including non-allocation to the federal government press and other matters therein.
For Nigeria to have effective information on the activities of the government and for these agencies to be able to diligently deliver on their mandate, every stakeholder in this industry must be ready to put their hand on deck.
The Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, while presenting the 2018 budget proposal of 6.9 billion naira to the committee, urged the National Assembly to increase the budgetary allocation of the organization to meet with its obligations due to its capital-intensive nature.
It is our desire, Honorable Chairman and Honorable Members, that extra budgetary allocations be granted to the authority in this regard, so that we can effectively, play our role towards the 2019 election. Because it has to start now. Preparations have to start now. Public awareness, especially now that INEC has released the election timetable.
The DG further explained that the organization needs more funds to complete the NTA headquarters project, upgrade its facilities, train staff, and effectively cover government policies and programs, and discharge its public responsibilities in the coverage of the people. Amongst the observations by the committee is the need for the NTA Television College JAS to be given priority attention to boost the professional capabilities of staff, especially now that content is paramount.
Like improving or upgrading your viewership, there's a need for you to have superb equipment that will attract that kind of viewership to your organization.
In the same vein, the Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Dr. Mansur Liman, also presented a 7.49 billion naira 2018 budget proposal to the committee. He urged them to also increase its budgetary allocations for optimum performance. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Consumers of telecommunications services want the service providers to scale up their services for effective consumer protection and satisfaction. This was the consensus at the 34th edition of the Nigerian Communication Commission Consumer Town Hall meeting in Jos. Priscilla Gurunan reports.
The forum is one of the initiatives of the NCC that brings together telecom consumers in rural areas and the network service providers to rub minds and proffer solutions to consumer-related issues and ensure they have value for money through effective service delivery. Director, Consumer Affairs Bureau of the NCC, Abdullahi Mekano, represented, said as telecom regulator, the Commission will continue to ensure consumers are not shortchanged, but educate and inform them on their rights.
The forum seeks to educate telecom consumers and other stakeholders on contemporary issues generating interest in the industry, and also serves as a feedback mechanism for the Commission in making regulatory intervention.
One issue that dominated discussions at this meeting is for telecom service providers to disclose truthful and factual information. In a presentation which centered on the theme, Information and Education as a Catalyst for Consumer Protection, Mr. Jide Abdulaziz pointed out that consumers have the right to access clear terms and conditions for service agreements.
The right information and education of telecom consumer is very relevant to the consumer's protection delivery regime, while the right information and education is very beneficial to the telecom providers.
The targeted audience of over 500 consumers could not agree less as they raised concerns such as poor network services, limited network coverages, high data rates, as well as unsolicited messages and deductions. Telecom network providers of MTN, Nine Mobile, Airtel and Glo took turns to address the concerns raised. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
Edo State government trains returnees from Libya. Let's join Ogochukwuka for details.
Thank you, Donald. Welcome to Benin. The Edo State government is presently training Libya returnees to acquire some skills for self-reliance. It is for a minimum of 2 weeks and being supported by a Women Helping Hand initiative, a project of the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Oshibajo. Agatha Egware-Ojo reports.
Vocational and technical training for the returnees, which is the first in the series, is a collaboration between Edo State Government Task Force Against Human Trafficking and Women Helping Hand, an initiative of the wife of the Vice President, Mrs. Dolapo Oshibajo. Inspecting some of the training materials on ground, Executive Director, Iroko Charity, Dr. Esohe Agatise, called on youths to forget the travails they encountered while on sojourn and focus on the training.
It is up to you to know that you can make a change in your lives.
Secretary of the Task Force, Abiayuwa Uyimense, said the training, which is in phases and for a minimum of 2 weeks, will help resettle and support the returnees.
So we are doing trainings in quite a number of vocations like basic sewing, bead on fabric, makeup and gele. And it's going to be an ongoing training.
While narrating their experiences, the returnees say they are grateful.
I will try to devote my time, put my effort.
If this doesn't before, say that they do, nobody go travel.
Over 500 returnees of Edo State origin have been received by the state government. In Benin, Agatha Egware-Ojo, NTA News.
Hunters and vigilante groups in Akoko Edo local government area have recorded a major breakthrough with the arrest of 12 suspected kidnappers at different locations in the area. Victor Odion Archer has details.
The hunters and vigilante groups embarked on a mission to rid off the area of the criminals who have been terrorizing the local government after the killing of a school bus driver on Saturday and subsequent kidnapping of a pastor and a nurse at different locations. The Secretary General of Akoko Edo Hunters Association, Augusti Shaba, said on getting wind of the kidnappers' activities, they immediately swung into action.
One open fire, there were man released, and people now came. It has scattered. They chased one and got one. I mean, the fire, they got two wounded. Then they caught one red-handed.
The traditional ruler of Egbegere clan said the area has been under siege of the kidnappers since 3 years ago.
If it is a vehicle, it should be released for Egbegere, most especially.
While 9 of the suspects have been transferred to the State Police Command, 3 are still in the custody of the Auchi Area Command. All efforts to get the shots of the suspects at the Area Command's office was strongly resisted by the Auchi Area Commander, Victor Odion Acha. NTA News.
And as our contribution from Benin is back to Abuja for the rest of the news.
Time now for the last break on tonight's news. When we return, sports.
End of 2017, the Buhari administration delivered a number of unprecedented achievements. Generated power has gone up to 7,000 megawatts in 2017 from 3,000 megawatts in May 2015. More than 1.6 trillion naira has been spent on infrastructure for roads, bridges, housing, dams and railways. Nigeria moved up 24 places on the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings and earned a place on the list of top 10 reformers in the world. Today, 5.2 million primary school children in 28,249 schools in 19 states are receiving a free meal daily. Our customs service recorded its highest ever revenue collection of 1 trillion naira in a single year. Our foreign exchange reserves grew by $12 billion, reaching the highest level since 2014. We added $250 million to the Sovereign Wealth Fund and officially moved out of recession.
Uncle, now see people boss be this, so...
Emanuela, go enjoy. Everybody, take comics for an call. Comics is easy to use, just tear, drink.
Comics, now easy to use solution for itchy cough.
No cough.
No comics.
No cough. Carry waka. Comics, easy to use. Carry waka.
With gratitude to God for a meritorious and selfless life, the federal government of Nigeria announces the passing on to glory of Dr. Alex Ifeanyichukwu Ekweme, GCON, former Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1979 to 1983. The sad event occurred on 19th November 2017 in a London hospital. He was aged 85. In recognition of his immense contributions to the socio-economic and political development of our dear country, Nigeria, the late Dr. Ekweme will be accorded a state burial befitting of his status. Details of funeral program are as follows. Wednesday, 31st January 2018, 10 a.m., Southeast Zone Commendation Ceremony, venue, Okpara Square, Enugu. Thursday, 1st February 2018, 12 p.m., Anambra State Commendation Ceremony, venue, Ekweme Square, Oka, 4 p.m., Depart for Oko by motorcade, 5 p.m., service of songs. Friday, 2nd February 2018, 8 a.m., lying in state, venue, Ekweme Compound, Oko, 11 a.m., funeral service, venue, St. John the Divine Church, Oko, interment, Ekweme Compound, Oko, reception at Alex Ekweme Compound, Oko, Sunday, 11th February 2018, 9 a.m., outing service, venue, St. John the Divine Church, Oko, signed, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
New Super Falcons coach unveiled in Abuja, and countdown to African Under-19 Volleyball Nations Cup begins. Kene Emabodike brings up more on Sports Update.